Imagine being put on display like an animal in a zoo, a shocking reality for many humans in history. It may sound like a chilling plot from a dystopian novel, but human zoos were a grim part of our not-so-distant past. These were exhibitions where people, often from different ethnic backgrounds or indigenous groups, were showcased for entertainment and curiosity. They were not just a perverse form of amusement, but also a tool for reinforcing racial stereotypes, with roots tracing back to the times of explorers like Christopher Columbus. These exhibits were designed to highlight the supposed otherness of these individuals, setting them apart from the civilized society. Human zoos were not isolated incidents, occurring in various forms across the globe. From the Aztec Emperor Montezuma's displays of captives to the living villages in early 20th century Europe, these spectacles were horrifyingly commonplace. Human zoos, a disturbing chapter in our history, are more prevalent than most might think. These exhibitions of humans began much earlier than you might guess. Picture the era of exploration and discovery, when Christopher Columbus was making his mark on the world. It was during such times that human exhibits were first introduced. Columbus himself, in a bid to showcase the New World, exhibited captured indigenous people upon his return to Spain. But this wasn't a phenomenon exclusive to the Western world. Across the ocean, Aztec Emperor Montezuma had his own collection of human oddities. He exhibited people with physical anomalies, creating a spectacle for his subjects and visiting dignitaries. These instances, while isolated, were the seedlings of a much darker trend. They laid the groundwork for the concept of exhibiting humans as a form of entertainment, a practice that would evolve and spread in the centuries to come. These early exhibits set a precedent for the more organized and widespread human zoos of the 19th and 20th centuries. The peak of human zoos came during the 19th and 20th centuries, to the shock of many. During this era, human zoos were not the exception but the norm. They sprung up in major cities across Europe and America, attracting thousands of curious spectators eager to glimpse the exotic and primitive cultures on display. These zoos were not limited to small-scale exhibitions. They were grand affairs, featuring vast enclosures and elaborate setups designed to mimic the natural habitats of the people on display. From indigenous tribes of Africa and Asia to the natives of the Americas, no group was immune to this degrading spectacle. These exhibits were more than just a form of entertainment. They were a tool for asserting the supposed superiority of the Western world, reinforcing the notion that these exotic peoples were lesser beings in need of civilizing. The popularity and widespread nature of human zoos during this period bear witness to a chilling time in our history. It was a time when people were judged not by their character or their actions, but by their ethnicity and cultural background. This period saw human dignity compromised to an unimaginable extent. Human zoos played a critical role in reinforcing harmful stereotypes. These were not just places of amusement or curiosity. They served as powerful tools in the hands of those who sought to classify and differentiate humans based on race, culture, and ethnicity. By presenting people from different parts of the world as exotic, primitive, and uncivilized, human zoos perpetuated the idea of a racial hierarchy, with Europeans at the top. The spectators, who were mostly from the dominant culture, had their pre-existing beliefs confirmed and strengthened. They left these exhibitions with a distorted and oversimplified understanding of these human exhibits, their cultures, and their civilizations. This further deepened the racial divide, creating a chasm that has been difficult to bridge even today. These stereotypes, unfortunately, have had lasting impacts. They have seeped into our societies, influencing our perceptions and interactions. They have formed the basis of discrimination and prejudice that persist in subtle and not so subtle ways. It's a sobering reminder of the power of representation and the dangers of misrepresentation. Despite progress, exploitation of indigenous groups continues. Throughout history, humanity has shown a disturbing fascination with the exotic and primitive. This curiosity has morphed into a lucrative industry, where isolated tribes are treated as spectacles for voyeuristic tourists. These illegal tours, often veiled as cultural experiences, are nothing more than modern-day human zoos. The exploitation is not confined to physical visits. The digital age has opened up new avenues of intrusion, with images and videos of these communities being shared widely online. This not only violates their privacy, but also reduces their unique cultures to mere entertainment, much like the human zoos of old. But this isn't just about cultural insensitivity, it's a matter of human rights. These tours often expose isolated tribes to diseases they have no immunity against, with devastating effects. Moreover, they disrupt the delicate balance of their ecosystems, threatening their very survival. Unfortunately, the legacy of human zoos lives on in these illegal tours. Even in recent history, there have been incidents reminiscent of human zoos. Case in point, the year 1994 in France. A controversial event took place, one that echoes the disturbing practices of the past. An exhibit, termed a living village, was set up. This wasn't an ordinary exhibit, though. This was an exhibit that displayed indigenous people in a staged, artificial environment. The individuals were put on display, not for their accomplishments, talents, or unique stories, but simply for their ethnic background. They were made a spectacle, a source of entertainment for onlookers. This blatant exploitation drew criticism and outrage, rightfully so. It was a blatant echo of the dehumanizing practices of human zoos. This incident is a stark reminder that such abuses can still occur. In 2005, the London Zoo featured a human exhibit. This was not a return to the dark days of human zoos, but an endeavor to educate and challenge perceptions. The exhibit was titled The Human Zoo, and it turned the idea of a traditional human zoo on its head. Instead of showcasing the exotic, it featured ordinary men and women in their natural habitat of the city. They were seen lounging, eating, playing, and interacting just as animals in a zoo would. The aim was to provoke thought on the nature of human behavior and our place in the animal kingdom. The exhibit raised eyebrows and sparked debates around the world. It questioned the very idea of what is normal and who gets to decide. The organizers hoped that by putting humans on display, visitors would reflect on the artificiality of the environment and question their own views on captivity and display. This exhibit sought to demonstrate humans' relation to primates, a twist on the traditional human zoo. The end of human zoos came, thankfully, but not without a struggle. It was a battle fought on multiple fronts. Public opinion began to shift, gradually recognizing the inhumanity of these exhibits. Legal measures were also instrumental in bringing about this change. Laws were enacted across the globe prohibiting the exhibition of human beings in demeaning and degrading manners. Yet the demise of human zoos was not an overnight success. It was a gradual process marked by numerous incidents that served as grim reminders of our past mistakes. Even into the late 20th century, echoes of these shameful displays could still be seen, such as the 1994 Living Village exhibit in France. But with time, these echoes faded. Today, the very idea of a human zoo is abhorrent to us, a stark contrast to the norms of a century ago. The end of human zoos marked a step forward in human rights. It's a testament to our capacity for change and progress, and a reminder of the vigilance required to protect our shared humanity. The impact of human zoos is still felt today. Though these deplorable exhibitions are a thing of the past, their legacy continues to shape the present. They've left indelible marks on society, reinforcing stereotypes and furthering discrimination against indigenous and marginalized communities. The exploitation, objectification, and dehumanization of individuals that took place in human zoos has led to a cultural trauma that lingers. It's a trauma that echoes in the lives of descendants, in the collective memory of communities, and in the way society perceives and interacts with these groups. Moreover, the existence of human zoos has raised critical questions about the ethics of exhibition, leading to reforms in museums and zoos worldwide. The conversations initiated by this dark chapter in history have spurred a more thoughtful and respectful approach to displaying cultural and biological diversity. The impact isn't just historical or societal, it's deeply personal. For those who carry the lineage of those once displayed, the pain is real and present. They strive to reclaim their identities, their dignity, and their place in the world. The scars of human zoos are still healing. Remembering the history of human zoos is crucial. This is not just a dark tale from the past, but a stark reminder of the depths to which human behavior can plummet when driven by ignorance and prejudice. It's essential to remember and reflect on these instances to ensure we don't repeat the mistakes of the past. The story of human zoos underscores the necessity of remembering. It illuminates how crucial it is to be aware of the atrocities committed in the name of entertainment, curiosity, or racial superiority. It's a bleak testament to our ability to devalue, objectify, and exploit fellow human beings when we lose sight of our shared humanity. These historical blunders serve as lessons, teaching us about the destructive power of stereotypes, the dangers of dehumanization, and the urgent need for empathy and respect for all cultures. Let's remember, and let's learn. Let's ensure that the future generations are aware of this past, so they can be the change we strive for. By remembering, we ensure that such horrors are never repeated. The act of remembering is an act of resistance, a commitment to a more humane, understanding, and inclusive world. We owe it to ourselves and to those who suffered to remember and to learn.